Welcome to episode 27 of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. My name is William Fizzpatrick, and hello, folks. Welcome back. We had a week off this week because of because Sal had to take some rest because of his work in school, but we are back, and it is a very special occasion this week because it's both of our birthdays. Sal's was on the 17th, and mine was yesterday.
Yes. We're celebrating our birthdays, and it's officially the first day of fall, aka the greatest season of all. I will fight anyone who disagrees with me on this.
Yes, fall is such a wonderful season, folks. The allergies are almost gone. Winter is coming, and of course, the holiday season is upon us.
Yes. And when I say I love fall the most, I mean that in terms of the weather. And like, if you ever want to experience a very nice fall atmosphere, visit Michigan sometime. I swear our falls here are actually absolutely gorgeous. Like, there's a lot of cider mills and stuff to go to. Shame I won't be going to many because I have work, but that's another story.
I might be going to a cider festival in a couple weeks, so...
Ooh. See, that's the kind of stuff you need to do. Like, Midwest... falls, I will stick to this. They're some of the most beautiful things on this godforsaken planet.
And I will stick up for the East Coast here because the southern tier has some of the most beautiful scenery. We have the Allegheny Forest, which is about 30 miles, which is about 20 miles away from where I live, and it is just so beautiful in the fall. Driving through Interstate 86 in the fall is just such a beautiful sight to see. And, well... You might have noticed our title, though, and you may have gone, why are we talking about Faustian Bargains and High Seas Piracy this week?
Because we're intellectuals, and we're discussing the whole concept of Faust, obviously.
Yes.
Oh, wait, no, we're not. We're talking about WWN Evolve and their legal shenanigans.
And the Mae Young Classic, because, of course, there's pirates in it.
Yes. One pirate to rule them all, and my goodness, is she amazing.
Yes, we will get to Kairi Sane and her eventual victory because, folks, the Mae Young Classic ended a week ago. Spoilers have been out there for weeks anyway. Kairi Sane won the entire tournament, but let's talk about how she got to that point. We have 32 competitors competing in this tournament with 4 alternates in case one of them got injured. Already, one of the alternates had to be put into a match because Nixon Newell now has the shiniest knee brace after injuring her leg.
Yep. It's a shame, too, but, injuries happen, and, her replacement wasn't too bad from what I remember.
Yeah.
But, and the 32 competitors are in order by alphabetical order. Abby Lath, Aisha Raymond, Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Jazzy Gabbert, Kairi Sane, Kavita Devi, Kaylee Ray, Lacey Evans, Marty Bell, Mercedes Martinez, Mia Yim, Miranda Solanius, who was the replacement for Nixon Newell, Nicole Savoy, Piper Nevin, Princessa Suhei, Rachel Evers, Rihanna Gonzalez, Renee Michelle, Rhea Ripley, Sage Beckett, Santana Garrett, Sarah Logan, Serena Deeb, Shayna Baszler,
Tanaya Conti, Tessa Blanchard, Tanya Storm, Vanessa Bourne, Zaya Lee, and Zedia.
Yep. Holy crap, that was a lot of names.
Good job, man. You got through almost all of the list, only getting tripped up by Tanaya Conti.
Yes, I had no idea how to pronounce that name, and I'd like to apologize to her if by some miracle she's listening to it. Your name is awesome. It's just I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry.
Well, I mean, you're not going to get mauled by a pack of Gracies, at least because she's not a part of that family.
Oh, come on. If the Gracies came after me, I'd just get Kazushi Sakuraba on my side. That dude hunts those fuckers.
Yes. You'd start playing Laughter 7 in the background, and the Gracies would start running like crazy.
Oh, of course, yeah. I get that guy on my team. And for those who have no idea what I'm talking about, this guy was an old MMA fighter who actually beat 4 Gracies throughout his career and is known as the Gracie Hunter. He makes dominating Gracies his living, and he is damn good at it. So...
Okay, so we have the results tournament bracket here on the Wikipedia page, and we will be going quickly through the round of 32 because it's 32 rounds.
Yeah, 32 competitors, 16 matches. It is a lot of matches. If we wanted to go through all the matches in depth, it would probably take us 5 episodes because we'd have to go over 32 matches. Sorry, guys. We're being lazy.
Yes. So we start things off with the last match of episode 1, which was Germany's Jazzy Gabbert, aka Alpha Female, versus Abby Leif, aka Kimberly. What are your thoughts on this match?
This was one of the matches I remember being pretty good. I mean, it's been a bit since I've watched it. I meant to rewatch it earlier, but again, work, school, busy, didn't have time. But yes, I remember enjoying this.
Mm-hmm. I honestly thought that this was a good match. This was one of the better matches of the first round. But the thing I had issue was the finish, was the person that went over. Abby Leif went over and started going on a deep dive into this tournament. She made it into the Elite 8 mounts. I was a bit confused by that. But then, of course, they decided to go with, oh, she's the Mae Young disciple. She's the person who's the disciple. Okay, you're calling this person who is basically the 10th cousin, 8th time removed, a disciple of Mae Young, despite the fact that she only trained with trainers who then trained with Mae Young. That doesn't really make her a disciple, does it, Sal?
Well, no, not really. I mean, kind of, sort of, if you want to be very technical, if you want to go through teaching pedigrees and stuff, which, honestly, if we're talking like ancient scholars and stuff, they used to do that. So there is historical precedent, but let's be honest, WWE was not thinking of that. So
of course not. And I felt as though that Alpha Female, aka Jazzy Gabbert, should have gone on to the second round, because there seemed to be very few international competitors that actually made it into the round of 16, which was very annoying. If you're calling this a world tournament, have some of the people from the world actually make it in, not just have half the people in the tournament be from America.
Yeah, looking at the results really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, about 7 international superstars of the 16 made it into the round of 16. Mm-hmm. It was about 50-50. Mm-hmm. And it was 50-50 going into the semifinals and the quarterfinals and semifinals. So they did better than they thought.
I honestly would have gone about 60-40 and have a few American competitors, the ones that were really good, be in the tournament, and then have some of the international competitors, because also a large number of these international competitors are also performance center individuals. Yeah. So kind of understandable that they didn't have them pass in the round of 32, but some of them probably should have gone on into the round of 16.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's always hard in the first round, because when you get so many talented individuals, you're going to leave some people out. Like, someone has to take the loss.
Mm-hmm. That was an annoying part. By the way, that was an annoying part of the commentary team. We're going to briefly talk about them, because I had them on mute all the time.
I had them on mute about half of the time. I swear to God. We will get to this when we talk about the third match we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. Needless to say, JR no longer has it. Lita is not very good.
And we want to be as fair as humanly possible to these two individuals, because, look, they've already received enough flack to fill an entire landfill about their commentary performance, and we're just going to add a few pieces to it. You know, it was completely bonkers for the creative team down in NXT to say, well, we'll put Jim Ross in the spot when you have Mauro Ronaldo there. He loves covering these tournaments. I may have issues with his commentary style, but God, the guy would be an improvement.
Yeah. It was bad. It was so bad. There was 2 things that stood out to me. One, in the third match, which let's just talk about it now, Princessa Suhei versus Kaylee Ray. Lita and JR both said you don't want to work a ground game with Princessa Suhei. Princessa Suhei is actually a submission-based luchadora. Her finisher is the goddamn Fujiwara armbar.
Do they think that she's Rey Mysterio or something?
Yes, this is what they think. This is what they think, because they have that stereotypical, oh, lucha, high-flying, flippy shit. And that pisses me off, because CMLL, they have some of the low-key best mat workers in the world. Look at Blue Panther. Look at Atlantis.
Look at Virus. Look at Mr. Cassius.
Yes. Look at half of their damn roster, and you will see many, many, many capable ground game wrestlers. They don't need to be stereotyped into just flippy shit. And I hate that. The other thing that got me, and this was more just hilarious, was in the finals when Shayna Baszler put she twisted Kairi Sane's elbow up and did a stomp on it. You remember that spot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. JR said, ooh, right in the solar plexus. The solar plexus is in your fucking stomach. I am not making any of this up.
Of course not. People already heard this. Everybody heard this. And I didn't hear it because I had the commentary team on mute pretty much the entirety of the tournament, except for the introductions and for the segments where they're doing the tale of the tape about the competitors.
Yeah.
But that was because the commentary team wasn't talking.
Yeah. It was so bad. So bad.
And this is, folks, the first of the Faustian bargains that we are going to be talking about throughout this broadcast. For those who are unaware of what a Faustian bargain is, it is basically you're trading something that you really, really want for your soul or something important to you.
Yeah, it's pretty much a bad deal. It's the deal with the devil. It's a deal that, when you think about it at first, it looks great on paper. But then after a while, you realize, wait, holy shit, what the hell did I just get myself into?
And for women's wrestling fans who have wanted a tournament for so long, they had to accept, unfortunately, several Faustian bargains in the fine print of, oh, we're going to give you a women's tournament, says the mysterious man in the gray robe with the ginormous nose protruding out of the top of the robe. Well, you have to sign a few little details. Just sign right here on the bottom line. Just ignore those little tiny fine prints that say that Jim Ross is going to be on the commentary team. And oh, by the way, we're also bringing in some MMA fighters into this tournament. We'll get to her later.
Yeah, I mean, I know she has wrestled in Stardom. I personally did not care for Shayna Baszler. Or if you're talking about the rest of the horsewomen, then yeah, I really didn't care for that either. But, and we'll get to her later. I don't want to be too mean because I actually enjoyed her match with Kairi Sane. The stuff leading up to it, I wasn't a huge fan of.
Oh, there's one match on here that I loved from Shayna Baszler of Run of Destruction. But let's get to the second match on this card, because this was probably one of the funniest shoot fights I've ever seen in my life. And this almost turned into a shoot fight on multiple occasions. Rachel Evers versus Marty Bell.
Yep. And here's the thing. I liked Rachel Evers, or Rachel Ellering as her shoot last name is, which is a weird thing because they acknowledge she's Paul Ellering's daughter, but they call her Rachel Evers. I don't get that. And it's not like she doesn't go by Rachel Ellering on the independent scene. She does.
That's because she isn't signed yet.
Well, I get that. I just don't get why they wouldn't call her Rachel Ellering. I mean, WWE is notorious for wanting to own their stuff, own the names. You call her Rachel Ellering, you own the Paul Ellering. Or no, they don't. Never mind. I just explained it. I thought they own the Ellering name like they only own the Rose. Holy crap, I'm losing my mind.
Sal is going insane again, folks.
Yes, but there you go. Trust me, I'll get really insane later. But that's why they call her Rachel Evers, apparently. The match with Marty Bell, from what I remember, it was okay.
Okay, a couple things happened in this match. First, Marty Bell almost caused Rachel Ellering to land on her neck after a suplex attempt, which made Rachel very, very angry. And for those who don't know about Rachel's why she calls herself Evers, that's actually Lance Storm's shoot name.
Yeah, and Rachel Evers also has a powerlifting background.
Yes, and Marty Bell was demonstrated to that powerlifting background.
Yes. It was a thing. And, that's the thing. I mean, it was a pretty good match. I mean, like all the first round, it was a slog to get through mainly because of the commentary. I mean, the matches themselves were fine. And
looking into the crowd and the audience was always fun.
Yes. I mean, you could tell the crowd was into it and they were having a good time. I mean, if there's one thing I can say, especially with the finals, it's that the women in these matches always had the crowd behind them, and in the finals especially, even when they started without getting them behind them, they worked their asses off and got them behind them.
Yeah, it was a case where they got them behind the crowd, and it was helped that the crowd was really engaged into it, including a large number of WWE wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at it, and it's like, I think in the end, this did do a lot of good for women's wrestling, like the competitors themselves. The system behind it, fucking hell. I mean, let's talk about it. We mentioned the Faustian bargain aspect and the things we had to give up to get this. Let's go over the potential pitfalls here. First off, yeah, Jim Ross and Lita on commentary. Again, not trying to be too mean to them, but they were absolutely hot garbage. Second, they released them in block formats. You know, instead of doing it once a week like the Cruiserweight Classic, which I can somewhat understand that because some people did say, you know, like when they were watching the Cruiserweight Classic, it's like, I wish I could have binged this. Fine, I get that. Two issues. One, if you're going to make it so you want people to binge it, why didn't you release it all at once? Two, why did you release the first thing the week before Labor Day weekend? You know, why didn't you just get it all edited and release it over the summer when people have more time? Because you released it right when a lot of people are going back to school and work is picking back up. Why did you do it like that? That's the thing. I mean, there was a lot of mess ups in schedule. I don't know if it was deliberate. I'd like to think it wasn't, because holy crap, why the fuck are you sabotaging your own tournament?
Yep.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and a testament to all the women involved in this. They worked their asses off to make this actually somewhat decent in spite of the system behind them.
Yes, the crazy system behind them, they actually managed to make it work. And through some of the weirdest, strangest backstage segments I've ever seen in my life. Like, did you see that promo that they did with Triple H talking to the competitors before the tournament? God, no. That was weird.
Yeah, I know. It was the whole Triple H Mark Dad thing. I mean, you had Stephanie introducing it, which, again, I don't get why you didn't get someone like, oh, I don't know, Sasha or, you know, Trish or Beth. I mean, hell, Beth Phoenix, you just inducted her. Hell, you want to have Lita do something? Just have her do that. I mean, you know, she could, I'm pretty sure she can read recorded lines like that. I mean, she's not very good at commentary, but I'm sure she can read off a cue card without having to call a match.
Yeah, at least credit to Lita. She actually did carry some of the segments.
Oh, God, yes. She would, for as much flack as I give Lita here, she was better than JR. God bless JR. I mean, the man's gone through some rough stuff, but good Lord, he was bad.
Yes, and that's why we're trying to be as considerate as possible in this situation, because we know that JR recently lost his wife in a horrible accident this year. And obviously he's going through all those emotional issues. I'm not sure that doing this whole, well, I'll just take my mind off things by just doing commentary thing is working out.
Yeah. Or maybe it is, and he just really has lost his touch, which, I mean, I get it. We all lose our touch. Ken Holland certainly lost his fucking touch.
Oh, yes, yes. Folks, for those who don't know, recently Urinating Tree released a video on the fall of the Detroit Red Wings empire, and when I saw the video come up, it had been uploaded for 15 minutes, and I saw it there, I was like, well, I'm sending this link to Sal.
Yeah, I had just saw it right before you sent it to me. The amount of hate and anger that brewed forth from me was scary. But back to the Mae Young, we have in the next match Princess Suhei against Kylie Ray. It was actually a pretty good match. I thought the styles clashed a little bit. Commentary was especially insipid for this.
But that's because we both know Lucha Libre.
Yeah. Yes.
We've studied the Lucha Libre for Dummies book.
Yes. After that, we had Gia Lee against Mercedes Martinez.
Okay, so first Shuhek versus Ray, because I hadn't covered it yet. Okay. I felt as though that, okay, if you're going to make a Becky Lynch replacement, Katie Lee Ray is a good option, but she's got a lot of problems in her game that she needs to sort out. This whole high-flying daredevil aspect of her character and her personality as far as in-ring work, that really clashed against Shuhei's very safe Lucha Libre style. Because the thing that you have to realize about Lucha Libre, it's also a very safe style. Look at the ages of the luchadors, for example.
Yeah. I mean, they don't really do shoot punches very well. Let's put it, or punches very well. Let's do it like that. I mean, they try and keep their opponents as safe as possible, although occasionally the flippy stuff they do, when they do it, they can nearly kill themselves. But generally speaking, they try to keep it as safe as possible.
And then we had, of course, Xia Li versus Mercedes Martinez. Let's get your thoughts first on this, Sal.
I thought it was okay. I liked Gio Lee's entrance with the fan and stuff. I mean, I hope it's actual like traditional Chinese stuff, and it's not like stereotypical Chinese they're ascribing to her.
No, I think she actually was in a martial arts academy. So
yeah. So I'm just glad that's it. And I thought Mercedes Martinez was actually really, really pretty solid.
Yes, Mercedes Martinez was another individual that tore through this tournament. Here's my thought process, though. Why did you put Xia Li against Mercedes Martinez? This is a person that probably should have been in the 16.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember watching it. I thought the match was okay. I thought Gio was a little solid because they did say that was her first ever match.
Of course, it wasn't her first ever match. She'd obviously had training beforehand and has been on the house show circuit for a while.
But I feel like that's why she wasn't in. I mean, Mercedes Martinez has done stuff. She's wrestled more. I mean, Gio Lee in her first ever big match. She was good for her first ever big match, but I feel like they made the right choice here.
I would have just loved to have seen her in the 16 because it would have given a more international presence. One person from China, one person from South Korea, one person from Japan in the bracket, and it would have been a nice to see. But at least they made the right decision with Rachel Evers. Which, fun fact for those who don't know, they originally had Marty Bell penciled in to make the 16.
Yeah.
They went with Evers after the first match. They actually had to retape that match.
Yeah, I heard it was bad, but
Next up is Nicole Savoy, who is currently one of the top 5 scariest wrestlers in this entire tournament, versus Reina Gonzalez. Sal, your thoughts?
I honestly don't remember this one. Holy crap, I'm bad.
Okay, this match for me was a very weird contrast. It seemed to be a heel versus heel matchup. Reina Gonzalez did okay in this match. She is, again, she is the daughter of the Desperado. Her daughter was Ricky Gonzalez, known as Desperado.
Okay.
So she did a tribute with the half mask in this particular match. Savoy was originally going to be signed by WWE, but during her tryout match, she injured her ACL. She got back in the gym by literally lifting gyms, not gym equipment, entire gyms, because have you seen how buff she is? She's scary. You know, this is not someone I would want to meet in a dark alley because she would probably suplex the alley on top of me.
Yeah.
So Savoy had a weird contrast of styles match with Reina Gonzalez where they should have designated somebody as the heel and somebody as the face. In the very next bracket, we have Renee Michelle versus the other monster in this bracket, Candice LeRae.
Yes. I remember this match and I really enjoyed it. I mean, Candice, she's a very good wrestler. She, played babyface pretty good. I mean, just like her husband, and I thought it was kind of nice seeing, telling them, having Johnny there to support her. I mean, obviously he would, but
Yeah, Renee did a decent job in this match against Candice. Candice, she's terrifying. She's easily one of the scariest wrestlers in this tournament because, like, beneath that sweet, adorable facade is a person who is the master of the dark arts of cake sorcery. She is a professional cake baker. That takes a lot of dedication, skills, and enough dark magic to fill an entire lake.
Oh, come on. Dark magic. Oh, come on. It's just diabetes, Fizzy. Come on.
Kakenstein is rising to devour Kampa.
Yes. Oh, geez. One disappointing thing about this is she didn't win the Guts Aggro Crag Trophy, as I'm calling it. Because seriously, the base of it and the shape of it reminded me of the Guts Aggro Crag Trophy.
Which is a trophy from the TV series known as Guts, which is a Nickelodeon show that aired in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I think it was late or early 90s, early to mid 90s.
Yeah, because Nickelodeon had a ton of gaming shows on their channel in the 1980s and 90s, including Legend of the Hidden Temple and, of course, Dare.
Yes. But that's game show history that we should probably leave for Eddie Mack.
Yes. So, anyway, next up on the list was
Sarah Logan against Mia Yim. That was honestly my favorite match of the first round.
Oh, cool.
I thought both of them were very good, and it was just a lot of fun.
I thought that this was a weird contrast of styles. Logan, who is not Wolverine's daughter, although she definitely looks the part, faced against Mia Yim, who is crusading against domestic violence, which is a great cause. This match was a weird contrast of styles that, for me at least, didn't really work. Logan seemed to be thinking a lot of how she was doing her spots in this particular match, and Mia Yim is Mia Yim. She's a good, solid performer, but she can't really do promos very well, which is unfortunate. But she's a very good athletic wrestler. God, that's another word that kept getting used. Athleticism! Look at their background of collegiate backgrounds! The times that I have it unmuted, that was what he was talking about.
Yeah, but it was still a good match. I thought, at least. After that, we had Zeta against Shayna Baszler, which this did not sell me on Shayna Baszler very well, and I'm not sure if this is more of her fault or more of the part of someone else. Let me get into it. In the first match, at least, and in parts of the second match, whenever I saw Shayna Baszler, the way she moved in her facial expressions, she reminded me of pretty much a gender swap.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I don't know if that's more her fault or if it's Baron Corbin's fault for being so bad in shit that anything associated with him, therefore, becomes bad in shit. It may very well be that second thing, because I've heard from Crazy Chris, the resident women's wrestling knowledge font. He has said, that she's pretty good, or she was good in Stardom. So, yeah.
But Stardom is a different atmosphere than the WWE, and that's one of the big things that was about this tournament, was the atmosphere was kind of... It became claustrophobic after about the round of 16, round of 8, when I still realized, okay, we're still stuck in the Cult of Full Sail. So it's feeling kind of claustrophobic.
Yeah. But, what did you think of the match?
They put Shayna Baszler against the punching bag. That's unfortunate, because Zedia, she's got some talent, but she didn't really display that in this particular match, because they wanted to have Shayna Baszler basically squash her and then move on to the second round. Baszler also brought her entourage, the 4 horsewomen. And this, folks, is the next part of the Faustian Bargain, the MMA angle.
Yeah, I know why they're doing it. I get why they're doing it. I really don't give two flying shits.
Okay, they are so obsessed and feeling so inadequate about, professional wrestling that they have to bring MMA fighters, female MMA fighters, and they're trying to bring in male MMA fighters to try and fill spots on their card, because they want WrestleManias and the SummerSlams and the Survivor Series and the Royal Rumbles to feel as big and important as possible. So this is possibly leading to a 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen angle, which both of us are going, oh dear Lord, this is going to be a train wreck. Because the person that they're going after at this point is Ronda Rousey, because they want a match against her and Charlotte Flair at the next WrestleMania.
Yeah, seriously. Fun fact, Ronda Rousey has a very good contract agent. And she does not want to be the person taking the pin. I mean, here's what's going to happen. You're either going to have to do the fuckest of fuck finishes, dump a boatload of money towards Ronda to get her to take a clean finish, and I mean a fucking tanker trunk load of money, or, have Ronda go over. So, yeah, have fun with that, guys.
Have fun with that. Have fun with that. Enjoy that. And then next up is the other Faustian Bargain match. We just had a Joshi reign supreme over the NXT women's division for 519 days. Here's her pirate replacement.
Yep. And I am totally fine with this.
Of course, because it's Kairi Sane, a.k.a. Kairi Hojo, the person that they should have signed in the first place instead of trying to sign everyone out of Stardom.
Yeah. Either her, or I'm going to take Crazy Chris's word for this again and say Io Shirai.
But Io Shirai has a neck that is made out of dimes, unfortunately, so I would have gone with Kairi Hojo, because Kairi has got less wear and tear on her than Io Shirai does.
Yes. But, yeah, let's talk about Kairi. Holy crap, go Kaihime, you were amazing. I love everything about her, and I will hear no issues. Her match against Tessa Blanchard was actually very good. I mean, Tessa's a very skilled women's wrestler, although again, she's kind of a head case in herself.
Because Blanchard.
Yeah, but she's hardly the first wrestler to do that, and she's probably way more stable than many others. But it is what it is. Very good match. I think this was one of my top 3 in the opening round.
This was also in my top 3 of the opening round, but I felt as though that they kind of obsessed about Tessa Blanchard's lineage a little too much in this match. Because they're like, she's a Blanchard. She's going to possibly win. Not against the Joshi Warrior. She isn't.
Yeah. But, I think that's coming from more of a meta perspective. Like, we all knew going in, Kairi Sane was going to at least make the finals. I mean, hell, the spoilers were out by then, and pretty much everyone had seen them.
Both of the things I hated about the format of the bulk format release was this was the last match of the first round.
Of course it was. See, I knew that it would be. I figured it would be. You know why? They're tricking you into watching everything else.
You want to see Kairi Sane and Tessa Blanchard? You'll have to go through every other match on this card first.
Yeah.
And then we had one of the surprises of the tournament. We had Sage Beckett versus Bianca Belair.
Bianca Belair was freaking amazing.
Okay, so remember Rosie, a lot of love from TNA? You know, that ginormous wrestler who was in the Knockouts division that actually accidentally injured a couple of people in it? Yeah. Well, yes, she's back as Sage Beckett.
Yep. And, she looks pretty decent, I'd say. Bianca Belair is amazing. I mean, I think she has a lot of potential. Always happy when people can, get their stuff together.
I'm really happy for Sage Beckett because, she lost about 140 pounds. She's healthier. She feels a lot better about herself. And that's always so important in the situations like this. And she managed to revive her career and shine. And she's now in WWE under a contract and is working the house show circuit.
Yep.
And Bianca Belair, this was a Mark Henry find.
Yep. Mark Henry has some good eyes.
Yeah. So basically, it's kind of funny how this women's revolution has gone on. The actual savers of the women's revolution have been Nikki Bella and now Mark Henry, along with Sasha, Bayley, Charlotte, Becky, and everybody else.
Well, yeah, that's because I feel like they're all trying to work it together. I feel like the expectations some fans have of only one person can save it. It was never going to be like that. There's never.
Yeah.
And I feel like the talent themselves know that. I still think most of WWE still needs to get behind them, but that'll be what it'll be. Really quick, we have Dakota Kai against Kavita Devi. Dakota Kai was another very good surprise. Her facial expressions are top notch. I mean, she's very good at it. And Kavita Devi, I mean, she didn't do a lot, but she knew how to use her presence and, her size to her advantage. So, I mean, this match wasn't blow away amazing, but it was structured very well.
Yeah, I thought that this match was really good. Kavita Devi is actually a student at the Great Khali's Wrestling School.
Yep. So, I mean, I feel like that really helped her because she knows how to use her size. I mean, and something funny that got pointed out to me by Maggle a couple weeks ago. Apparently, there's this one Indian-based sports site that actually saw one of my tweets being snarky and posted it about Kavita Devi's debut. Now, I was impressed with her debut. I thought she looked pretty good. And I said something to the effect of, I can't wait. I really like Kavita Devi. She seems super nice. I can't wait for Vince to call her up to SmackDown and make her Jinder's wife or something. Because that's obviously how she's going to be in Vince's world. It's more snark on the booking of Vince. And then, but that was my weird tweet getting used in something I never thought it would get used in. And, again, I really think Kavita Devi has a lot of potential.
After that was another person I felt should have gone farther in this tournament, Rhea Ripley versus Miranda Salinius.
Yes, she was another good one. But again, it's the nature of these things, You're going to go up against someone where, I mean, I feel like you put Dakota Kai, Rhea Ripley, it doesn't matter who's getting eliminated. Someone's going to be pissed.
So, also, we have the introduction of the Hispanic version of Alexa Bliss's gimmick. That was Miranda Salinius' gimmick. She was Alexa Bliss.
Hooray.
And Alexa Bliss was in the stands.
Yep. Oh, well, it'll be what it'll be. WWE, they're creatively bankrupt at this point, but whatever.
Then we have Vanessa Bourne versus Serena Deeb.
And Serena Deeb's returned to WWE. And in her interview, I am surprised she did not take every opportunity to fucking bash this company and how they treated her.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord, would she have been justified in doing that?
Mm-hmm. Her match with Vanessa Bourne was good. Vanessa Bourne is a student of Rikishi and Gangrel's wrestling school. She did well in this situation.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. After that, we had Santana Garrett against Piper Niven. I honestly really enjoy Piper Niven. She seems like such an absolute joy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and she's doing good work helping to promote body positivity like Nia Jax has done, which, again, always a good cause.
Mm-hmm. Just don't try to support Bram, okay? Again, Piper, I know you're friends with him, but maybe understand the context first before you start going off and saying, oh, he's a good lad, he's fine. The guy was charged with domestic violence. You understand that you're a women's professional wrestler in women's professional wrestling? There's going to be a lot of women wrestling fans who are going to be shaking their head going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just want to point that out there.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I don't know what Bram is like now. Is it possible he has completely reformed himself and Piper Niven, who might be closer to him than we are, knows that? Sure. I haven't seen it. I am not trusting him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I'm not saying it's impossible he couldn't have changed. It's just one of those things where, people will always look at you with a healthy suspicion like they should. Hell, I still look at Steve Austin with a healthy suspicion, even though by all accounts he has changed his ways. I feel like it's only fair. I mean, you can repent for your crime, you can change yourself, but it will still be there.
Look, if he does the time to do the proper therapy that he desperately needs to do, does the proper medical checkups that he needs to do at this point, because it's clear that there are other signs here that point to some neurological issues, concussions, because he's in the professional wrestling industry, and all of the issues with addiction, painkillers, and alcohol. If he takes all the time to do all of that and tries to recover, okay, that's good. You're still a guy who has a domestic violence on your record, and you're going to be judged for that. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
Oh, of course. After that, we had Tanera Conti against Lacey Evans. Don't really remember this match. I think it was okay from what I remember. I can't remember anymore. Too many matches.
Yeah, it's too many matches. I feel good that they decided to expand it, but they really should have had a 16-person tournament.
Well, not even that. I feel it's more like too many matches in the way they structured it instead of doing. I honestly feel like this is why weekly would have been better. You could review it. We could have reviewed it as it went on instead of having to review it all in one big freaking lump.
Okay, so we start off with Ripley versus Sanenius. Good match. Bourne versus Deeb. This was a structurally good match, but there felt like there was a lot of gears missing, particularly from Deeb, who's just starting to get back into professional wrestling. Santana Garrett versus Piper Niven was a mess. Garrett was in control for the majority of this match. Niven really wasn't the imposing monster that I thought she was going to be in this tournament. Her first two matches, she was basically fighting from underneath. It wasn't until the Elite 8 match where she finally had a really good match in my view. Conti versus Evans. People are not happy about Lacey Evans' patriotic gimmick from outside of the U.S., and I can understand why.
Yeah. I've heard some people complain it's pretty much like army porn. Like the way she was dressed. I mean, I don't really agree with them. If that's like, if she chose that and she wanted to look like that, then I won't. Then I'm gonna say, yeah, no, that's her choice. I don't really get that. If that was WWE's idea, I could kind of see it coming more to light.
No, I don't think it was WWE's idea. I think this was her idea. She is a former Marine, and we have to respect her choices in that regard because, okay, she served in the armed forces. Okay, you get a pass in this situation. And besides, I like her ring outfit anyway. She's basically a classic 1950s style, what would we call it, pinup art?
Yeah, well, it reminded me more of Rosie the Riveter mixed in with more of a U.S., like an actual like armed service person type of thing.
Yeah, and I felt like it was a different aesthetic than what we're used to. Tanya Conti did okay in this match, but it seems like WWE is pretty high on her anyway.
Yep. Then Aisha Raymond versus Toni Storm. This was pretty much a match to get Toni Storm into the next round. Let's be completely honest.
Alicia Raymond was okay. She was serviceable, but I just don't get the hype behind Toni Storm at this point.
I do. She's actually pretty good, and I love her tiny hat.
Oh, yes, her tiny hat and her mod look is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was round one. Then we had Abby Lath against Rachel Evers.
Okay, so as I've seen these matches a few hours ago, my thought process is I thought that this was the best match of the second round. Evers brought a lot of fire into this match, and Abby was very good as she sort of adjusted from being the happy face to the bullying heel in this match. Evers tried to use her power moves, Lath would counter, and it ended. The finish was a bit weird because they used the alligator roll again, which is Mae Young's signature finisher. So, okay, we're going to go that route. But I felt as though that Evers should have gone on to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I really like Rachel Evers. I can see why they didn't, though. She's still really young. I mean...
And Lath is under contract with WWE, so we have to understand that.
Yeah. I don't know. I would have liked to see it too, though. I just think it's more like they feel like she still has room to grow and stuff. And I mean, Abby Lath is older. There's only so much time left. You know, well, she's really not that old. She's only 27. So I thought they said she was like 32 or something. What the hell is going on with my memory?
I think that might have been talking about Mercedes Martinez.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Yes, and she's actually 36, but that's a whole other thing altogether. And she beat Princess Suhei.
Good match, kind of structured weird. Suhei did okay. Martinez did okay. They did a really weird finish, though. Suhei spent the last several minutes of the match working on Martinez's arm. The finish, Martinez using her arm for a power slam of some kind to finish.
Yeah, that's just, bad structure.
Then the next match with the bad structure, you thought this match was good, right?
I didn't see this match. I actually missed most of the second round.
Okay, so I'll go for the second round here. Savoy versus LeRae. Weird finish. LeRae gets Savoy up on the top rope and does this slam from the second rope. Throws her down, slams her, and then pins her. This was it was a much better structured match than Savoy's first round match. Savoy was actively the heel in this match, although she was facing against the monster known as Candice LeRae. And LeRae goes on to the Elite Eight. Weird match.
How dare you stop disparaging the good name of Candice. You really think Johnny would marry a monster?
She's scary, Sal. She's the scariest wrestler in this tournament, not named Shayna Baszler.
No, she's only scary to evil people, Fizzy. She only lets her eat her scariness out against bastards like Ciampa. That's it. Okay? Every other time, she's an absolute saint. All you have to do is be like a decent person, and she's an absolute saint, and I will hear no more disparaging of her good name.
She faced against Shayna Baszler in the next round. But before that, Mia Yim had to face Shayna Baszler, and this is where the Four Horsewomen angle came into effect.
Yeah. And this is where, this was one of the matches I saw. Again, wasn't super impressed by Baszler. I mean, she's not terrible. I don't care for her, and I don't really know why. Again, I think it's the Corbin stuff, but yes.
This was an okay match. This was better than Mia Yim's first round match, in my thoughts. She had a really good styles contrast with Baszler. They worked together before, so there was less of a hesitation for Baszler because when it comes to MMA fighters, they legitimately try not to injure people in scripted fights like this.
Well, yes, of course. And after this, we had Kairi Sane against Bianca Belair.
Really, really physical match. Really good match. This was a wonderful match in the second round. If Lath and Evers, if Lath and Evers wasn't as good as it was, this would have been the top match in my book.
Yeah, this was one of the matches I saw, and this was actually very good. I mean, it had Kairi Sane and Bianca Belair in it, so of course it was going. It started at I'd say 2.53 stars, and that was its base.
This was easily a 4-star match in my book because Belair, she took it to Kairi Sane. She wasn't afraid of the angry Joshi.
Didn't Kairi Sane get concussed off of this match?
No, that was the Dakota Kai match where she accidentally bounced her head off of the ring entrance.
Yeah, and she was thankfully not too badly hurt because, she was able to do the semifinals, and then thankfully they had a month off I mean, that was the one good thing about the stupid taping schedule. It's the fact that they were able to give them, actually, it was more like 2 months off. So, there was that. And after that, we had Dakota Kai against Rhea Ripley.
Really, really good match. Wasn't as good as some of the other matches, but that's because I think Kai and Ripley were holding back or, holding back for something down the road. Sign her, WWE. Sign Ripley, because she has the physical tools and she's only 20 years old. She was the person that impressed me the most in this tournament was her, because she's got a lot of tools and a lot of fundamentals that could make her something really interesting. She could be the first interesting Australian wrestler that WWE has signed, because the rest have not really worked out, unfortunately.
Yep. And I just got stuff from friend of the show, Mr. Dr. Senju. It was actually the Tony Storm match where Kairi Sane got concussed, and they have signed Rhea Ripley.
Oh, nice. Good. That is a good move, because she has got a ton of potential. She was trained, I think she is trained by Madison Eagles. Quick tip about Madison Eagles, people. Give her coffee. Do not take away her coffee. Do not spill her coffee. Madison Eagles will then kill you.
Yeah. But, after that, we had Serena Deeb against Piper Niven.
Much better match for Piper Niven this time around. Serena Deeb was actually the heel in this match, and she was really great at it. She was the crazy psycho hippie guru yoga person.
Yep. I don't know. Is Serena Deeb back with WWE on a full-time basis now, or no?
I think she's just basically on a part-time basis at this point, but I feel like she's interested in a trainer's position.
Okay. That would make sense. And I feel like, if that's something she would want to do, that would be good. After that, we had Lacey Evans against Tony Storm.
Good. This was a good match. This was a good match for Tony. This was one of her good matches against Evans. Evans did well in this situation. It was good that she was eliminated here, because I didn't see her going into the Elite Eight, and Tony Storm was going against her friend Piper Niven. So this was a good overall match. Still not really sold on Tony, but that was in the quarterfinals.
Yep. After that, we had, and that is the quarterfinals we're heading into. That was the round of 16. We had Abby Laith against Mercedes Martinez.
Okay, this was the match where we find out that Abby Laith has limits. She was exhausted throughout the entirety of this match. Mercedes Martinez did an incredibly good job of carrying her throughout this match, because she was beat red. I was like, oh, Jesus, is she going to faint in this match? Well, I don't know what was wrong, but...
Well, I think I do. That was their second match of the day and their third match in 2 days. You're going to be tired by that point.
Yeah, especially when you've had long matches against Gabbard and Evers to start off with, where Martinez had a short match against Zaya Lee, a short match against Princess Shuhei, and now she's in a long match against Abby.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show, and I think that was one of the good things, why some of these matches were so short, in that, most of these matches barely went like 8 minutes.
It's because they had a 15-minute time limit for the opening rounds.
Yeah, which I think was a good idea, because holy crap, you're working these people. I mean, keep in mind, the semifinals were also taped on July 14th. So 4 of these women wrestled 4 matches in 3 days and 3 matches in 1 day. Or 4 matches in 2 days. That is an insanely hellish thing to go through.
Then we had, after that, what were your thoughts on Laith Martinez?
I actually missed the quarters and the semis. I meant to get around to them, but busy, work, school, so...
Okay, so I'll cover the semis and the quarters. LeRae versus Baszler. Oh my God, this was a fantastic match. This was one of the best matches in the quarterfinals round. LeRae versus Baszler. You would not think that this matchup against the submission specialist versus a high flyer would work out, but good Lord, it did. From the start of the match, Baszler was disrespectful to Candice LeRae. She turned her back to her as LeRae tried to do a handshake. That was a mistake. LeRae responded after a spot by doing a high flyer spot and hitting Baszler when she was on the floor. And Baszler was standing there. Her 2 horsewomen compatriots had a look of concern on them, because Baszler had disrespected LeRae. And as Sal has pointed out, you don't disrespect Candice LeRae because
Yes.
then she becomes the monster.
Yes. Well, no, she doesn't become a monster. That's when she. See, I look at it like this. You know, she's usually such a nice, cheery person. So you need to get that anger out somehow.
Did you see the Young Bucks versus World's Cutest Tag Team match in PWG, or at least have heard of it?
I've heard of it. I have not seen it.
Candice LeRae ended the match with a completely bloody face.
Yes.
That is how tough Candice LeRae is. She is a tough competitor, and she is somebody that took Shayna Baszler to her limit. This was the first match where Shayna Baszler woke up and went, oh, geez, I'm facing against somebody that could beat me.
Yep.
And at the end of the match, Baszler got her in a submission hold, a clutch hold. Relay had to tap out. She kept the hold on her for several more seconds, and the ref had to pull her off. This was one of the heel moments in this match because Baszler was the designated heel throughout the majority of this tournament, much like Pete Dunne was in the UK tournament.
Yep. Which they did that right. Although this is just a mark in me. They should have reversed the call or whatever. You know, like how if someone keeps a submission hold on for too long, they'll either reverse it or DQ the competitor. Should have done that, WWE. Should have reversed it and given it to Candice. But that's my mark in me.
But Candice did a really good job in this match. Continue.
No, I was just going to let you go. What do we have after this? Kairi Sane, Dakota Kai?
Kairi Sane, Dakota Kai was a good match. Dakota Kai brought the fire to Kairi Sane. The first thing she did in this match, she took off her pigtails. That's how you know that this match is serious, and Kairi was serious because these two have been rivals in Stardom before. They know each other. They know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And what I hated about the commentary, and we're going back to the commentary again, they kept referring to Kairi Sane as an underdog. Have you seen this Joshi monster just buzzsaw through the rest of the competition?
No, they haven't. Even though they explicitly mentioned Stardom multiple times.
Okay, if for those who don't know about Stardom, first go ask Crazy Chris. Okay, he knows about Stardom. The two guys, one sport guys, they know about Stardom. Stardom is not a cakewalk. Stardom is a promotion where they literally kick each other to death.
Yes, I've seen very limited, but even I know that. Like, again, this goes back to the whole Lucha stuff. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't do their research.
Yeah.
It was patently obvious, and it annoys me. I get wanting to tell your own stories. I get that. But if you're going to do that, you can't have this international tournament, bring up Stardom, and then try and tell your own story. You know?
Kairi Sane is so short. She's so short. She's 5'0". Alexa Bliss is 5'0", and that doesn't stop her from ripping apart buildings and trying to squash her competition, quite literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Daniel Bryan is nowhere near 6 feet, and he's one of the best wrestlers ever, submission-wise especially.
Especially when he goes into his psychotic deranged lawn-no mode and decides to start picking apart people's limbs.
Yes, or when he decides to use a running knee right to your frickin' face. That hurts.
With the joy and happiness of somebody skipping through a field.
Oh, and once again, friend of the show, MDS, has once again told us Kairi has been on Lucha Underground and fought Pentagon Dark.
Yes, she was on Lucha Underground. She got out of her contract with Lucha Underground to sign with WWE because she had signed a limited deal with Lucha Underground at the time.
Yeah. And she went up against that man, Pentagon Dark. You know, the dude who goes around breaking people's arms? Kairi is not an underdog.
Yes, Kairi is a monster. Kairi is a Joshi warrior that will decimate the entirety of this tournament field. And guess what? She did, as we talked about earlier in the show. She beat Dakota Kai after Dakota Kai made a mistake and injured her leg in kayfabe. She didn't actually injure it. So Kairi was able to apply the elbow drop. One mention about the Bianca Belair match that I kind of didn't like. The elbow drop was done incorrectly.
I don't know, man. I mean, like, that elbow drop is always gorgeous to me. I know,
but Kairi, it wasn't Kari's fault. Belair was positioned in an odd position for Kairi to do the elbow drop. She was kind of positioned sort of tilted on one side of the ring. Although, in hindsight, it's because of the fact that she's had issues with her ribs and bone muscles in that area because she's a CrossFit competitor. So, the one knock on Belair, I'm going to say, she's a CrossFit competitor. We know about the CrossFit people not
Mm-hmm.
being particularly.
Well, I don't think it has really anything to do with CrossFit. I mean, some CrossFit competitors like John Morrison, he's gone on to great success in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Although that whole situation with AAA is still such a flaming mess, I have no idea what to make of it.
Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about people who use CrossFit like Sami Zayn, Becky Lynch, and Seth Rollins, who have all ended up injured at some point in their careers. And I know injuries happen in wrestling, but they seem to happen more frequently to these free competitors.
Well, from what I know about CrossFit, which if anyone doesn't know what I look like, I'm like 260 pounds, and that is not muscle. So I can tell you right now, I'm not a practitioner of CrossFit, but I've heard it's a very brutal training regimen. But so I've heard like if you do it right, it can actually like keep you really fit, and you can avoid injury better because like you're in fitter. But if you do it wrong, it can screw you up.
And then we had one of the most entertaining matches of the quarterfinal round in Piper Niven versus Toni Storm. These two know each other. These two have competed against one another in Britain and Australia and in Japan. These two know how to work a match with one another, and this was the first match I saw with Niven in it that was enjoyable from start to finish. And one of the things that it was lacking in this tournament was a lot of character. Belair brought character by using her hair as a whip. Niven and Storm brought character by doing the catch-as-catch-can style for the first couple of minutes of this match. It was really enjoyable, very fun, and was the first match that really broke out for Toni Storm for me. I still don't see the hype, but again, she impressed me here.
Yeah, see, Toni Storm is to you what Shayna Baszler is to me. And after that, speaking of Miss Baszler, we had Baszler against Mercedes Martinez.
Good submission-related match, a lot of fire, a lot of stiff shots against one another. These two have been training partners since the early days of their careers. Baszler decided to go into MMA. By the way, WWE forgot to mention this. Baszler does not have a good record in mixed martial arts. Conveniently forgot to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, they never talk about that. I mean, that's something you need to remember. They're just going to say, oh, yeah, she's a mixed martial artist. She's really good. She's friends with Ronda Rousey.
She has a 15-11 record.
Now, that isn't a bad record. I mean, I know it's kind of hard because usually Sakuraba is like, I want to say like 26, 17, and 1 all time. So he doesn't have the best record either, but he's widely considered like the 5th best middleweight fighter ever. So, record I wouldn't say is everything, but yes, it isn't necessarily the best record to have.
Yeah, and WWE is pitching you as this elite fighter of doom, and that's kind of not accurate there, guys and gals. So, good match. Thought it was really good. And funny thing about this match, suddenly, out of nowhere, Sarah Amano, Triple H with a bouquet of flowers, and Stephanie McMahon appear out of nowhere. I'm like, where did these three come from?
They came from the ether, Fizzy.
Yes. It's like the Power Rangers getting morphed and summoned into a random location, or any Sentai series where they get morphed and summoned to a different location, if you don't like me talking about the Power Rangers.
Yes. I don't care. I mean, I've watched both Super Sentai and Power Rangers. I like them both for different reasons.
Then we have Sane versus Storm. Fantastic match. Really, really, really good match. Again, but this is also where Kairi Sane is so short, she has a size disadvantage against Toni Storm. Look at the number of bodies piled in that corner over there, Jim. Look at it. Look at the number of people that Kairi Sane has destroyed at this point.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's take a look at this really quick. We have Tessa Blanchard, who is 5'5", and Kairi Sane's what, 5 foot?
5 foot.
Okay. Let me just double check that. She's 5'1". So size advantage didn't matter in the first round. Got it. Bianca Belair, 5'7". Didn't matter in the second round. Dakota Kai, she's 5'6". Didn't matter in the third round. Why in the hell would it matter in the semifinals? I mean, even ignore, let's say that WWE wanted to completely ignore everything else about every other promotion, and the complaints we've had about them ignoring the other promotions are bullcrap because they want to tell their own story. Someone could theoretically argue that WWE wanted to go it alone and make it so everything we knew about them before this didn't matter. This is how they're going to be. Fine. Okay. I can accept that. And us saying, look at their past is kind of invalid. They want to do their own thing. If you're going to make that argument, fine. why in the hell would any size disadvantage matter to Kairi Sane when she just beat 3 people who are all about half a foot taller than her?
Mm-hmm. Because athletics, Sal. They want to be respected in athletics, Sal. Because athletics matter, and track and field and all this other kind of stuff that I go, okay, but you're telling a professional wrestling story. Okay, you have this dominant babyface champion person in Kairi Sane who's going after your women's championship in your developmental league, going against all these other opponents, and she's been the underdog in some of those matches. She had to fight from underneath, but it was always in the case of she's just waiting. She's waiting for her inexperienced opponents to make a mistake. What happened in the Belair match? She made a mistake, and Kairi Sane took advantage of it. Same thing happened in the Dakota Kai match. She made a mistake. Kairi Sane took advantage and planted the most beautiful elbow drop of elbow drops ever.
I'm still torn on if it's her or Macho Man who has the best.
Mm-hmm.
But
I feel like her leap, that side leap, just makes it work.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm still torn mainly because, like Macho Man really popularized it and made it look so good. It might be a bit of nostalgia, but although I wasn't alive to see that, I wasn't around, but
I feel like it's a good elbow drop, but I like the Kairi Sane version because she brings so much joy to it. And additionally, a little thing I liked about those matches was every time she did the elbow drop and every time she did the pin, she would walk over to her opponents and say, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And because she worries about injuring people with that elbow drop, and
she knows how deadly it is.
Yeah, she knows how deadly it is, and she respects that, and she knows in the wisdom of how dangerous that move is to pull off, because the elbow drop is not an easy move to pull off.
Nope.
Because you're taking your elbow and you're literally jamming it into somebody.
Yep. I mean, the most you can try and do is land it so it's like not the elbow itself, but like the part, like the flat of your arm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're crashing into your opponent. You can't really do anything to. I mean, the most you can do again is like to make sure the pointy bit isn't sticking into your opponent.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we had the finals, which was shown live in Las Vegas after SmackDown.
This match was weird. The first time I watched it, and you can go back through my tweets, and I've mentioned it about there. I don't know what it was. At first, I thought it was the timing. Like, it felt a bit rushed at points. I would have made it a bit longer because it was only 12 minutes long. I'm still not sure what it was because I rewatched it and I liked it a little more. It just felt a little off. Like, it was still a very, very good match. I had it at like 4 stars. I enjoyed this match, but something about it just felt off. Like, it felt like it could have been better, but I don't know.
I feel like, yeah, that's the same thing. And apologies for the microphone issue. I was just checking the. Actually, I don't think you heard it because I had my microphone muted. Yeah, I'm checking the live chat right now, and I see Shooting the Breeze and Mr. Dr. Senju in our live thread, which is what you've been talking about. And yeah. Yes, he mentions that Niven was blown up 5 minutes into her matches. I don't think she was. I feel like her opponents were really rushing her in those situations. And again, Niven is a very inexperienced wrestler compared to the rest of the field taker. She's only been in wrestling for a couple years. I think she's only 21 years old. So they didn't do the whole traditional monster thing, and that's probably something they should have done with Niven in that case. But on to the main event. I felt like the main event did its purpose well. Okay, we got Kairi Sane into the finals. We got her over into the finals. And it's a situation where you knew how the finish was going to go. Either Baszler and the MMA Empire were going to begin a reign of terror. AH at the end is important at the end of the sentence. Or Kairi Sane and the Joshi dominance was going to continue in the NXT women's division. So we ended up with this, which is a good compromise. Kairi Sane wins with the elbow drop of elbow drops, and this was a good match. Very high intensity, very high power, and 12 minutes. I felt like the time was perfect in that case.
Yeah, you and KM Tierney agree on that. I don't know what it was. I felt like there were some timing issues early on.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I feel like that's kind of be expected because this was a huge thing. I mean, there was like about what 10,000 people there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, there's only about 10,000 people. I felt like they enjoyed the match personally, but that's how they looked at it. And this was a tournament that was, before we say anything else, we are very happy for everybody who competed in this tournament. Yes, even you, Tessa Blanchard, who competed in this women's tournament and did their part incredibly well. You had to deal with a lot of systematic issues, a ton of Faustian bargains being thrown about by WWE and company, and you had to also do the legal loopholes of, look, Toni Storm's the Progress Women's Champion. She's going to go deep in the tournament regardless of what my thoughts of her are. I felt like she did good in this tournament. I need to see more of her because she kind of felt out of her element in this situation. She's used to the grimy punk hardcore of Progress Wrestling. That's where her home base is. She's used to Progress, that crowd, that style of wrestling. Whereas this is very standardized WWE, Mae Young, proper tournament thing.
Yep. And, it wasn't bad. I mean, I thought the tournament as a whole, based on what I saw, was pretty good. It would have been so much better if commentary was better, and I feel like that was its biggest flaw. Well, that and the way it was rolled out.
And I didn't forget that Kari rolled out of the choke taker. It was more along the lines of, it was expected that Kari was going to get out of the chokehold that Shayna Baszler had her in, because Baszler is a submission specialist facing against a high flyer.
Yeah, and I thought it was good. I mean, Kairi Sane is a very, 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 very good wrestler. Shayna Baszler, for all my faults with her, I thought she handled herself well here. I'm still not completely sold on her, but I think, coming out of this match, I liked her a lot more than coming in.
I feel for main roster WWE, Shayna Baszler is perfect. She is perfect for the main roster. Kairi Sane, similar position. She might actually make it into the main roster. They are already bringing Asuka to destroy the Raw women's division, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah, and, that was the Mae Young Classic. What are your thoughts on it as a whole?
I felt like it's a good idea that needs some improvements, but overall, I am all for women's tournaments continuing on the WWE Network as specials. Just make sure that the format is good. Bring some better commentators. No offense to JR or Lita, but I would prefer somebody else in those positions next time for such a prestigious, glorious tournament, so I can actually listen to the commentary as I'm watching the show, which, I mean, I don't particularly care about commentary myself. I will listen to Japanese commentary. I will listen to Hispanic commentary. I will listen to any other kind of commentary from any other language except the English language, which seems to be the biggest problem of them all. Why is it that there can't be any good English commentators? I know there are a few that are good, guys, but at the same time, I'm just thinking, okay, could we please just get some better English commentators this time around? Especially when I can't change the audio settings for the Mae Young Classic videos because it's only available in English.
That was my biggest thing. I could only watch it in English. I mean, you had all this time to record commentary. You couldn't do it for any other language than English. But yes, that was my biggest issue with this. I mean, again, I'll give my overall thoughts. Again, I thought it was a very good tournament. Every single competitor brought their A game. I felt they all worked really hard. Even if some of the matches didn't click for me, it was still a very good amount of women's wrestling from what I saw. The quality of it was very good. They worked their asses off and made this work despite front office bullshit. And I would too like to see this come back as a regular thing. Now, will it? I don't know. This really does feel like total PR marketing stunt by WWE. Which,
I certainly feel that as well.
Which, let's be completely honest, the whole women's evolution, whatever the hell they're calling it this week, it is total PR marketing bullshit.
Yes, they want to look good in front of their investors. We're doing great for women's wrestling, but they're not doing some of the things that they need to do to actually make it an actual revolution.
Yep, that's the thing. And, we've had many minds talk about it. We've discussed this before. You want to hear someone really get mad about it and talk about it, listen to Two Guys, One Sports with Crazy Chris and Curtain Jerker, because Crazy Chris goes off on these fuckers.
Every single week and every single time about the women's division and how it is, in his eyes, mistreated. And it is a fair assessment by him about the women's division. I mean, personally, I'm a bit more moderate in the discussion about the women's division because I feel as though it's going in the right direction. I just feel that it needs to take some time. It needs to take time because any good revolution takes time to build, takes time to develop, takes time to get right. The regime change that makes things happen. And look, we're going through a transition period in WWE. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows the clock is ticking on Vince. Everybody knows the clock is ticking on Hunter and Stephanie right now. They have got to make sure that this transition period works, because look around you in 2017, folks. Everybody else seems to be having some kind of major issue this year. Every wrestling promotion this year has had some kind of moderate, minor, or major issue. It's like the Donner Party has come out for season.
Yes. No, everyone wants to be part of the Donner Party. That's the thing. And WWE was also not immune to it this week.
Okay, let's get through the SmackDown and Raw segments quickly before we talk about the big Donner Party news at the end of the show.
Yeah. And yes, we're going to talk about something. We're going to talk about well, let's talk about Raw first, because I want to devote my hatred to SmackDown. I want to save that to the end of this.
Raw was a solid, good show. It did okay, first you had Braun Strowman murder Enzo Amore. That already gives you high marks. I may not necessarily be the biggest fan of Braun, but him murdering Enzo and Enzo landing on his rear on his microphone, that was hysterical.
Yeah, see, I actually missed most of Raw because I was watching the Detroit Lions win a Monday Night Football game.
A miracle has happened.
The Lions actually look good through two, but that's another thing. But yes, I did see the clips of this stuff. And yeah, Braun murdering Enzo, I didn't see that live, but good freaking Lord. That was beautiful.
Oh my God. Imagine the trios team of Neville, Alexa Bliss, and Braun Strowman.
Oh, jeez. And yeah, the funny thing about that was that Neville and Braun actually had like a sort of real recognizes real moment.
Yeah, they had a real recognizing real moment, and that was an incredibly enjoyable thing to see. The Braun or acknowledging and respecting the Cruiserweight champion, where normally the giant big wrestlers try to murder the Cruiserweights or attempt to cook them in the Cajun stew.
Yep. Other stuff on this was that we had Bray Wyatt defeating Dustin Rhodes. I could not give two craps about this because I want Bray Wyatt fired out of a cannon. Apollo
Into the sun?
Yes, and into the sun. Yes. Michael. The other big thing was Roman Reigns going off on John for being a hypocrite.
Roman Bruticus really stuck the knife in him this week.
And here's the thing. I'm going to shock a lot of people. Roman has been winning me over lately. Maybe it was the idiots last week going off about him and giving him shit for saying, I hope God looks after everyone who's been affected by a hurricane, and people deciding, yeah, no, this is now our time to give you the shit for being religious. And then he went off on them. And look, I wouldn't have responded the way Roman would, but I get why he's fucking pissed. I'm a man of faith myself. I'm a Catholic like Roman. From what I've heard, he's Catholic. And, you know, I wouldn't have responded the way and call someone a faithless fool like he did.
But at the same time, it was an account. It was a Twitter account that trolls the various different religious institutions on Twitter, so it's understandable in this case.
And this is my thing. I don't think wrestlers should go after people, or like people shouldn't go after people, except for two things. If people go after you for your family, and people go after you for your beliefs, whether that be Christianity of any type, whether that be Islam, Buddhism, whether that be no faith. If someone goes after you for your faith or your family, you should be allowed to clap back and put them back in their fucking place.
Especially since this troll account decided to go after a Samoan. Word of advice: don't go after the Samoans.
Jesus.
The Samoans will destroy you.
Yeah, it would. And I mean, you know, Roman has been, you know, really good lately for me. I have no idea why. Maybe it's Stockholm syndrome. Maybe I just want anything to work, and I'm willing to take anything. But even then, I don't think that is, because it wasn't like that in the past. Roman has been winning me over lately. I don't know why.
I've been a fan of the beloved Roman Reigns since he debuted for the Shield.
Yeah.
You know, he impressed me so much, because I was like, what is going on with Dean Ambrose? And then I was a fan of Seth Rollins at first, and then the disaster happened.
Yeah, so much disaster. The other stuff was that JJ is going to face the Miz at No Mercy. Miz is probably going to lose the belt for the second year in a row at No Mercy.
Please don't go 27 minutes. Please don't go 27 minutes. Please don't go 27 minutes. Please don't go 27 minutes like you did with Dean Ambrose.
Oh, no, it won't. I mean, here's the thing. Last year, he lost the belt
Mm-hmm.
to Dolph Ziggler at No Mercy, which, good Lord, what's happened to Dolph, but that's another thing for a little bit. You know, I feel like this is going to happen again, and No Mercy is going to be the pay-per-view where Miz puts someone over with the IC title.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm expecting. Like every year until he retires, Miz is going to have the IC title at No Mercy and then put someone over with it.
Unless it's an odd year, and then which Stacy retains it. But by the way, we have big news about the Miz that we need to talk about. Sal, they announced it on Raw. You go ahead, man.
The Miz, the Great One, and his lovely dashing wife Maurice, they are expecting their first child. So congratulations to both of them. I'm happy for them. I really am. This also makes John's shot at Miz in the WrestleMania build-up saying he's shooting blanks. Yeah, guess what, John? He ain't shooting blanks. He's more potent than your jackass.
Congratulations to the Miz and his muscle Maurice.
Yep.
Unfortunately for Miz, because of Maurice's pregnancy, he's not going to have her assistance as often as he would beforehand because she is busy building an empire.
Yep. But, you know, that was good. Then we had some tag team stuff, which I didn't really see, and that's not very important in the grand scheme of things. It's pretty much building to Extreme Sorrow and Rollins at the pay-per-view. Still really enjoying Rollins and Extreme Sorrow. It's going to be a good match at the very least. The other big thing was Michael Cole moderating the on-screen interviews. That was good. They're pretty much talking about how they're going to be the ever-loving shit out of each other, and I'm so looking forward to that match.
Yeah. So basically, to both Alice and Curtis Axel, don't mess up, because the muscle is going away to, build an empire for the Miz, and hopefully the Danielson family doesn't try to turn their lovely child's face at birth by playing Quiet of the Valkyries on the speakers while Maurice is delivering the kid.
Oh, come on. Anyway, and the other big thing on Raw was that Bayley returned and got added into the match, and now it's a fatal 5-way.
I know that they're going to do the horsewomen thing, but I so hope that this is the start of a Bayley heel turn at this point.
I have no idea what's happening, but it'll be what it'll be.
If Bayley turns evil on Sasha, it will be so beautiful.
Yep. And that was that. Raw, from what I saw, was pretty good. I mean, again, I was watching the Lions actually win on Monday night, which was freaking amazing. So that was good. And then we have this show.
SmackDown. So get to the Ginger segment first, because I know you want to rip that to shreds.
No, I'm leaving that till the end, so I can leave everything for that. Main stuff before that, we had Dolph Ziggler doing, I have no idea what the fuck anymore.
HBK. I think he was doing an HBK impersonation this week, or was that last?
No, that was this week. It was HBK and Triple H, and then DX. And here's what I said. How is Dolph Ziggler ripping off HBK's entrance any different than what he usually does? He is a dime store. He's a dime store Shawn Michaels.
That's an insult to dime stores style.
Okay, fine. He's a penny store Shawn Michaels. You happy?
Well, it's more along the lines it's sort of a nickel and penny store.
Yes, I know. Kevin Owens. I know a lot of people like this segment. I liked it too. A lot of people are saying this Kevin Owens is back. I've heard that so many times. I'm just so completely burned on this. I liked where it went this year with the whole psychotic people like me don't go to hell, they go to heaven thing. That was good stuff. I'm waiting.
I'm waiting until the Sal.
Yeah, I'm waiting quite a bit. I've been burned too many times with hearing Kevin Owens is back. Kevin Owens is back. Kevin Owens is back. I don't trust it.
Meanwhile, Baron Corbin and AJ Styles are in the murdering Ty Dillinger contest.
Yeah, this is just, I have no idea what the hell anymore. I don't really care.
For those who hate Ty Dillinger, it's a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful thing. For those who don't hate Ty Dillinger, it's kind of disturbing that they keep using him as this jobber to the stars, but okay.
Well, here's the thing. I really don't care for Ty Dillinger. I mean, my hatred has waned a bit. I still don't like him very much, and that's mostly his 10 chance. But I hate Baron more. You see, WWE thought I would hate Ty so much that I would accept this. What they failed to realize, however, was that my hatred of Baron has exceeded anything else on the roster except for Bray Wyatt.
As a Baron Corbin fan, this continues to amuse me.
He sucks. He can't move. I mean, the way he moves is so awkward and stilted. He has a cool finisher, and that's it. His promos suck. I mean, he is the white version of Jinder Mahal. Plain and simple. His in-ring ability is not good, and he can't cut a promo. That is who he is.
Oh God, that is really good there, Sal, man. It's really good.
Yeah. So by extension, that means that, and according to my eyes, Shayna Baszler is the gender-swapped white version of Jinder Mahal.
Mm-hmm.
Just let that sink in.
I think Baszler is Hispanic.
Oh, well, she's Hispanic. I don't know. Mm-hmm. However, whatever nationality she is. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we had the tag team division, New Day defeating the Hype Bros. That was pretty good. And the Hype Bros are going to have to do something drastic. Mm-hmm. So that'll be it. Shane McMahon addressed what KO did to his father. I sort of like this. I hated how we kept saying, because I'm a McMahon, this is what's going to happen. McMahon this, McMahon that. I would have liked it a lot more if he just said, you beat the ever-loving shit of my dad. I might not always agree with my dad, but I love my dad. I'm fucking pissed at you. I'm going to kill you.
I mean, he might be Satan. He may be Satan, but you decided to cross Satan, and as a part of the Legion of Hell, and you are not a Space Marine at this point, I am going to defeat you at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. So, that was that. Then we had Orton against English. Orton killed English. Then Rusev came out, killed Orton. Mm-hmm. That happened. That was that. And I'm pretty sure that was it for the show. Yeah, it was. Except for what we're going to get to next.
I'm going to just mute my microphone and just let you rage here for a second. Please try to keep the swearing to a minimum, however.
Oh, fine. All right, let's talk about this. Jinder Mahal came out, and for the past 2 weeks, he has decided that instead of accusing all of us of racism outright, he himself is going to say racist things and then accuse us of thinking those racist things. Here's the thing. He said some vile stuff that, well, I won't repeat. Suffice it to say, the things he said, it was pretty much everything he said was racist, and the only way it could have gotten any more racist was if he had used any of the slurs the Americans had for Japanese during World War II. Think of those slurs and then subtract them from this promo, and that's pretty much what you have. An incredibly racist promo, demeaning, arrogant. I mean, it goes to show that WWE hasn't released the video, and I have two questions. One, who the hell thought this was a good idea?
Road Dogg. I'd have to think it would be Road Dogg in this situation, given that he loves old school angles like this.
It's either Road Dogg or Vince, and I'm leaning, and it's probably both. And I don't care who came up with it. I want them gone.
Or it could have been Ward because he's, in the soap opera drama industry. He might have thought that was a good idea.
No, I don't think it would have been Ward. Ward never used any of that when he was running for NXT. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm disqualifying Ward. It isn't Ward here. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I don't get why they keep doing this. I mean, I'm sure someone will say, well, they're making the bad guy a heel. We're making the bad guy racist. They were showing people that racism is a bad guy thing. Yeah, we know racism is a bad guy thing. Mm-hmm. We know it is. We don't need, people saying, oh, yeah,
Yeah, you don't need that at that point. I think, but the thing is that they wanted to establish Jinder Mahal as the heel because he had been getting some cheers on Nakamura. So they figured that the best way to do that in their crazy, insane minds was, let's have Mahal be a racist. Let's have him be racist to the Japanese. This won't backfire horribly.
Yeah, and I honestly get the feeling this is coming from Vince, since it would explain so much of his psyche, since he feels persecuted. It's the whole, all those people who say they're victims of racism, they're really racist themselves.
And it also applies to the rest of the people who work for this company. They feel persecuted for whatever reason because, people yell at them for being carny freaks, or people yell at them because of their heritage, or because they're white, or because they've had issues in the past of their lives. Okay, get a therapist, get psychological help if you feel that way. Yeah. Move on.
Seriously. And this is so problematic. And if they wanted to make Jinder the heel, here's what you should have done. Take race completely out of it. Mm-hmm. And make him just this arrogant, rich snob who goes around saying, I'm so much better than you because look at me. I am rich. I have millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, my own custom suits. You're all just filthy plebs who watch wrestling.
I have a flying carpet and you don't. I have a window with nice Indian flags on the front of it. I have a nice little rug that I put down at the base of the limo's car. I am the richest man in India. Look at my wealth. Look at the shining amount of rupees being flown into the air. I know that the rich man gimmick is a tired old gimmick from the 1970s, 80s, and 60s. I get that, but it would have worked in this situation because what I've described Jinder as an arrogant lion, a guy who truly believes he is a prideful savior of the nation of India as a professional wrestler. He truly believes his own hype to the point of he is basically the Indian version of King Booker's gimmick, where he literally believed that he was king. Except one problem. You don't have Paul Heyman or Alex Greenfield writing his segments for you.
No.
Where it would have worked in that context. If you had Graney on your team, and that would require grabbing a large amount of bank trucks upon bank trucks upon bank trucks of money to get him to re-sign with you guys, and he would have a lot of executive Faustian Bargains himself that he would apply. Read a less contact with Vince and a chainsaw to take Kevin Dunn out of the picture and make him into larger chunks of Bucky Beaver beef jerky.
Yep.
Note, I have actually suggested that idea to Greenie.
Oh, Jesus. But yes, I mean, it's so bad. I mean, here's the thing about that segment. I don't usually drink. You know this, Fizzy. I've mentioned this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I did this Tuesday after that segment? I went out to my local corner store, bought a 2-liter of Coke, and bought a bottle of rum.
That's how bad this segment affected you, because to the audience, explain to the audience again that you don't drink.
I don't drink usually. I'll have a drink once every rare while. I'd like to have some rum and Coke, maybe once a week at most, usually once every 2-3 weeks. I like to have one just as a little relaxation thing. I don't drink a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying if you do drink a lot, that's cool. That's your thing. I don't. This segment got me to go out and buy that stuff so I could drink this shit away. I poured like a 30-ounce thing of rum and Coke, and I drank it. So that's like, what, 3-4 shots worth of rum in there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I needed it to go away.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen the clips of the segment that were released, that were recorded, and I felt as though, okay, they clearly went all, they clearly realized at this point that they've gone out of line. And this is one of the few times that WWE has actively acknowledged that they made a mistake, which is weird of in itself. They actually acknowledged it and didn't put the video up on their YouTube page.
Yep. And here's the thing that I love about the WWE audience. They even said, that's too far with what he said. Mm-hmm. The WWE audience knows this. We know this.
Yes, they don't say anything, or they just boo, or they just do random chants. They actually said that this is too far.
Yep. It was so bad.
And you can see it on Jinder's face of like, oh God, why did they give me this script? Because Jinder's Mahal is a smart guy. He's a good guy. He's a nice guy. He's he's a guy that's worked his way back up into WWE through large amounts of curry powder and the fact that he somehow hasn't been busted for waking the wellness policy yet. Keyword. Although he has repeatedly stated that he regularly takes the testing policy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit skeptical myself, but maybe he is. I don't know. Because they have to be tested 4 times a year, apparently. So either WWE is conveniently keep making it so his tests are delayed until the end of the year, even though I think it's an independent company.
I think he does more than 4 tests a year in his case.
Yeah, I don't know. So either something's going on and someone's getting bribed to make it, hey, yeah, let's just keep all these tests to the end of the year, or we'll just say, he took them, he fast, he's good. Which I highly doubt that's happening, or Jinder is somehow passing them. Or they're somehow getting him to off cycle. I have no idea.
And Senju mentions Corey Graves even said it.
Yep. Yep. It's so bad. I hated this segment. And yeah, I mean, I highly doubt Jinder wrote this. I truly doubt this in my mind. I mean, maybe he did.
No,
Maybe
I don't think that Jinder did.
I don't think he did either. I highly doubt it. I certainly don't think it was. I really don't think it was him. But but I don't know for sure. So let's just say there's that like 0.1% chance Jinder did write it. He should be fired. Let's say it was Road Dogg who wrote it. He should be fired. Let's say it was Vince who wrote it. He should be kicked out of the company, forced to retire, and he can go fuck off to the Poconos or wherever he wants to retire to. Whoever came up with this should be gone.
But that's most likely not going to happen. Or
it isn't going to happen.
It is possibly going to happen if the circumstances happen. And look, Triple H can only defend Road Dogg at this point for so long. And like we said here, the important thing is that we here on Wacky World of Wrestling aren't really trying to get anybody fired. I know that we're at a point of an emotion at this point, but we're not going to try and threaten anybody's livelihood in this situation because that would be out of character. Let the legal precedent and let the public audience voice their concerns and complaints, and maybe something happens.
Well, look, I'm not trying to get anyone fired, but I'm trying to say, maybe I am trying to get him fired. I'll say it like this. I don't want anyone using blatant racism in my wrestling program.
Of course. You don't want that to happen.
Yes.
I don't want that to happen. That is completely
And it's very clear that someone in the SmackDown writing team or Vince himself has not gotten that memo after repeated messages. I'm not advocating someone get fired after one mistake. Unless it's a hugely egregious mistake, and maybe racism should be that, and maybe it could be that in certain circumstances, and I would agree with that. But there isn't a discussion at this point. Someone keeps screwing up.
Yeah.
If I go to my work and I continually screw up at my job, I'm getting fired. This is how it should be. The court of public opinion has weighed that, holy crap, we don't like this. We want it gone.
Yes, we want it gone in this situation.
Yeah, and MVS brings up another good point. This segment is so bad it missed all the racial tension in the U.S. We just had stuff like Charlottesville happen.
Yes.
The U.S. is not exactly in the best place in terms of racial relations right now.
And they decided instead to turn it from America versus the world. There's going to be India versus Japan. That's the way they thought that they could get around this.
And it's stupid.
Yes.
It's so stupid. It's like someone looked at this and said, well, we can't not have the racism. Like, we got to have the racism. Well, let's just make it India and Japan. Instead of, making it so we don't have the racism. But that's WWE. Raw was pretty good from what I saw. I mean, boring in other areas, but they had some good stuff. SmackDown, they forced me to drink.
But there was a good main event for the women's number one contendership.
Oh, yes, there was that. I honestly turned it off like half an hour after that. I couldn't take it anymore. Like half an hour before that was incredibly boring. That Ginger stuff broke me, and I decided to drink.
Yes, WWE has made Sal insane once again, folks, for those who've been keeping score.
Yes. So, good job on giving the women a really good main event spot, but making sure hardly anyone saw it because you burned them out with the racist gender crap. Way to go, numbnuts.
And while Jinder stares at his flying carpet and wonders where exactly the heck he is, we need to move on to the other Donner Party train wreck that just came out this very week.
And it's a company I'm going to see a show of later tonight.
So Sal is going to see a show later tonight of Evolve 92. The WWN family of networks right now is fighting against FloSlam, and FloSlam is fighting them. So here's the context of the situation. Apparently, WWN has fudged their information that they were sending to FloSlam before they made contract negotiations to accept a 5-year deal of exclusive streaming services on FloSlam. They fudged the numbers, lost the statistician sheets, and made up as many phony claims as humanly possible to accept this deal. FloSlam, being naive in this situation, accepted the deal and then lost the people that were heading this deal in this particular division in December, and they just lost their vice president of FloSlam in August. So this is a ship that is run aground on 50,000 rocks, crashed into a village full of tribal people, and is now about to head into a volcano. FloSlam is currently suing WWN at this point for, drumroll please, $1 million in damages. Yes, they are suing the company that they are continue to say that they want to continue to be in a relationship with, and apparently the contract is starting to run out at this point. Now, WWN has a few options. Countersue FloSlam for committing fraud about inflate, because both of these companies are responsible for inflating their subscriber numbers at this point. FloSlam has been basically saying, oh, there's nothing wrong here, where in actuality, WWN inflated their subscriber numbers from under 2,000 subscribers to 5,000. And note, this story was also reported on Fightful.com and on PWTorch.com.
Now, we should stress that all of this is just alleged by FloSlam at this point.
Yes.
We don't know yet. There is going to be a trial date eventually, probably at least, to take care of this whole thing.
Yes, this was filed in a Texas court on September 15th. The announcement just happened this past day, September 21st. Kind of an ominous day to have that happen on my birthday, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. It's also kind of weird in terms of the filing because, it's right before they're running 2 shows. So...
But this is the thing. These 2 companies have done a lot of shady behavior, unfortunately, over the last year or so. We need to let the due process, like much with the Page ADR situation, we need to let the due process play out in this situation. The people that I feel the most bad for are the people who subscribe to FloSlam for $20 a month. They tried to raise it to $30 a month and then made it some weird package. And the wrestlers themselves under contract with WWN or FloSlam.
Yeah, guys like Keith Lee, Zack Sabre Jr., Matt Riddle, Stokey Hathaway, the Doom Patrol, the rest of Catch Point, pretty much everyone on the roster. I feel really bad for them. I'm sure they're going to go out there and give it their all tonight for me and at my show. I'm sure they're going to go out there and give it their all tomorrow.
Yeah, for those of you who are listening to this broadcast, and if you are attending an independent wrestling show, please support the wrestlers. If you know that they are of good character and have good matches, support the wrestlers. The ones that are good people. Okay, people who support domestic violence. People who have allegations of rape, domestic violence, drug abuse, all that other kind of stuff. Yeah. Try to support the good wrestlers. And I know that is very hard in this professional wrestling industry, but that's how I do things. I always do, before I buy any merch with any wrestler, I always do a character test of that wrestler. And then I buy and then if they pass, I buy their merch. I do it with WWE wrestlers. I do it with independent wrestlers. Everybody gets the same test.
So, if you can buy their merch at a show, buy their merch, buy a ticket to see them, if they have a PWT store, I know PWT has their own scummy behavior with possible credit card theft from a few people I've talked to, but, try and at least buy some merch for them. If you can't make it to an indie show and you're willing to trust them, I've heard it's very isolated, but still, I know I get the risk. If you're willing to trust PWT, go on PWT and buy a t-shirt off of them. Just support your indie wrestlers and support your local indie.
Yeah, exactly. That's the situation. Support your local indie. Check your local indie. Always just make sure it's legit, because you don't want to end up what happened up in Canada, where Powerbomb TV supported an event that didn't end up happening this past week ago or so ago. So it's not just FloSlam that's at risk for shutting down. We also have the risk with Powerbomb TV not apparently doing a background check on the promoter of Bari. What was it? Some kind of Baytown Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. The thing with wrestling we always need to remember is that there's a lot of good and honest people in here, but there are a lot of carnies.
Yes, a lot of carnies. There are some good carnies, though, like the Carnies tag team. The Carnies tag team, that is an awesome tag team.
Yeah, I haven't seen them myself, but if the resident Nova Pro reporter Duke is anything to go by, which I trust him on this, they're amazing.
Yes, and Reverend Kane has also supported them openly about, every time that they're on a card, he loves seeing the carnies, and they have just one of the most wonderful carnival gimmicks ever. I've started seeing their promos, and it's like, oh my god, this is the menagerie done right.
Yeah. And before we go, we still have one more bit of business to cover, and that's sumo.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about remember a couple weeks ago when I thought that this would be a strange, wacky, insane bash show? Look, folks, I didn't think I'd be right about this.
Yep. Let us address this. See, when he said he thought it would be strange, and when I said I could see it happening, we didn't think we meant it would be strange in the fact that 7 people would not compete or would only partially compete.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 7 people, 1, 2, 3 of them have not competed yet.
Mm-hmm.
They are Hakuho, Kisano Sato, and Kakuryu. 3 Yokozuna.
Mm-hmm.
All got hurt and have missed the entire tournament.
Or pulled out because of the fact that they didn't feel they were 100% healthy.
Yep, none of them have competed in a single bout this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, going into this, Kakuryu, he kind of needed to.
Mm-hmm. He can take a bash show off in this case because his injury hadn't healed yet. So then, no, that's a situation where he's just going to wait until the November bash show. If he can gank the November bash show, then he will compete. If he can't, he'll retire.
If he can't do the November, it's going to be bad because here's his last 4 tournament records: 1-4-10, or last 3, excuse me, 1-4-10, 2-2-11, and 0-0-13.
Mm-hmm.
The last number is the amount of bouts you've pulled out of, not ties. So, yeah, he kind of needs this. Hakuho had his dominance forestalled because he got hurt.
Got snake bit by the Akibasho again.
Yep. And it wasn't even his fault, the poor guy. Honestly. And then we have Kiseno Sato, whose Yokozuna career this far has been disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he won a tournament as his first tournament as Yokozuna, and since then he's been hurt.
Mm-hmm. But I think he'll be okay for the Winter Bash show.
Yep. After that, the other hurt people are 2 Ozekis, and this is the first time in like 93 years this has happened.
Mm-hmm. Takayatsu got hurt during the Bash show, and so did Tenro Fuji. So they're both out, and Tenro Fuji is now going to be Sekiwaki next Bash show.
Yep. And if he can't get 10 wins, and like we said, if he gets 10 wins next tournament, he'll be right back to Ozeki. If not, he has to do it like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other hurt people is Aoyama, who missed 7 days but came back, and he's gone 2-4 in the matches he's competing against. He is nowhere near completely recovered.
Mm-hmm.
But, he's trying to at least save something of his rank.
Mm-hmm. Sadanobe is getting chucked down to Jurio, however. He's the other guy that came back, and he's winless.
No, he just won today. He's
he just won.
He's won 7-5 in his tournament so far. And the other person who got hurt was Ura.
Mm-hmm.
He almost didn't compete because he was battling an injury and going into it, and they weren't sure if he was going to compete to begin with. Won his first day, lost 2, then got hurt, and he's missed the past 10 days. So
yeah, he's out of the tournament. So we have 10 Rikishi chasing after one man, the lone Ozeki, the defender of the black loincloth, Okuedo.
Yep. And Goedo is doing his very best to blow it because he's lost 2 in a row. He was 10-1. And he was pretty much a lock to win because everyone else has been losing 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then he loses 2 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
He's still in the lead by 1 over a few. This is actually going to be good. He's in the lead by 1 over 2 Yokozuna, or excuse me, 2 Rikishi. One is one Yokozuna still left, Haruma Fuji, who's 9-4, and the other, Asanoyama, in his debut in Makuuchi.
Oh my God, I picked him for runner-up.
Asanoyama is having himself a pretty damn good basho. He's 9-4. Now, tomorrow's bout will be very interesting because it's Asanoyama against Onosho.
Ooh, your pick.
Yep. And here's the thing with Onosho. I had him as my runner-up because I thought Hakuho would be in here dominating. Onosho is 8-5. He was right in the lead, but he's dropped like 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's slipped a bit, but
Mm-hmm.
or no, he's dropped 3 of his last 4, I think I should say. So he's slipped a bit. But he is the second Rikishi to have winning records in his first 3 tournaments in the top division.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who the only other person to do that is?
Hakuho. In recent history, Hakuho was the one that did that.
Yep. So, I mean, if there's anyone to be compared to, being compared to Hakuho is a hell of a person.
And this is a great story for Onosho because he comes from a stable that used to be dominant but had had a really bad slide for the last several years, for the last several decades. He's back. His stable is now back because they now have one really good Rikishi.
Yep. And some other surprises have been Daisho and Daishomaru.
Mm-hmm.
Both of which have not been playing very good up until this, but they're both 8-5.
Yes. And then there's the other surprise. Kota Shikiru has a winning record.
Yep. He slipped a bit lately, but yes, he does. He's 8-5. He can't get demoted anymore. Mm-hmm. The slide has ended. He's going up, or at least staying the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he possibly will be Komosubi next Basho if, it has to be all sorted out first, but I think there's going to be changes in the Komosubi rank, and there might be a new Sekiwaki.
Oh, there's definitely, unless Mita Kiyumi and Yoshikaze both were out, there's going to be at least one new Sekiwaki because Teruno Fuji. Unless Teruno Fuji gets demoted to Komosubi, which could very well happen considering that Yoshikaze's 8-5 and Mita Kiyumi's 7-6. So both of them went out. I think those two are keeping the Sekiwaki rings, and Teruno Fuji's going straight to Komosubi.
Or they will have a third Sekiwaki, which I think is possible.
Well, yes, they can. There has to be at least 2, but I don't even think they would keep him at Sekiwaki.
We'll have to see. But
I mean, he's 1-5. He's going to go 1-5-9. That's not good, but yes. The Komosubis are not doing good. Tochiozan is Makakoshi. He's 5-8. He cannot have a winning record. Tamawashi needs to win out to have a winning record. He's 6-7.
And he's dealing with an ankle injury, so that's possibly not going to happen. So, yes, we have a crazy basho. The guy I picked at Megashira 16 may make runner-up.
Yep, he might, and it would be nice to see. Yuta Kiyama, the guy who just came back in, is probably going right back down. He's 4-9. Other people who are close to the top include Takura Fuji, Arawashi, and Shiotaryu, and Kota Shigeku. As we said before, they're all 8-5 as well. Oh, and Endo's 8-5 too.
Yeah, so Endo is at a really good basho.
Yep. So we have like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, and Kaisei's 8-5 too, and Chiyomaru. So we have like 10 people who are 8-5 and who could still theoretically get into a playoff. If Goedo loses out, then and everyone else somehow wins out if that's possible. We could have like a 7 ways, like a huge way playoff.
It is a 7-team gauntlet for the Sumo Gold, ladies and gentlemen. Goedo is going to be dogpiled by a horde of angry sumo wrestlers who all want the gold, including the Yokozuna. The going gold guy who is left to defend the Yokozuna honor.
Yep. So it'll be interesting. I have no idea who wins. I mean, Goedo just needs to win one more match and he wins the tournament.
That's easier said than done. He's basically in the Christian position.
Well, technically not just one more match. I mean, it would be weird, but pretty much one more. I mean, if I think he faces Haruma Fuji tomorrow. So if he beats Haruma Fuji tomorrow and Onosho beats Asanoyama, Goedo wins. No one could touch him.
Yeah.
But yes, it'll be something to look forward to, and we will give you the updates of the finals next week.
As we talk about No Mercy. Thank you so much.
Wait, before that, I have one quick announcement. This has been in the works for a bit, but I just recently confirmed it. Next week, I will be on Two Guys, One Sport to talk my Evolve experience.
Oh, sweet. That sounds really good. I hope that you guys have a really fun time on that particular broadcast. Two Guys, One Sport broadcast on Friday nights at this point at around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shooting a Breeze wrapped up a couple hours ago. They start at 11 a.m. Central Time, I think it is.
Yep, 11 a.m. Central, and they were nice enough to come around and hang out with us during the show, so we'd like to thank them for sticking around and keeping us company.
Yes. And thank you so much for tuning in on this long edition of the show. It was long because of the Mae Young Classic and all the other stuff that we had to talk about. Thank you so much for tuning in on this broadcast. Thank you so much for waiting a week for us to talk about the Mae Young Classic. Thank you so much for the kind words that you gave both of us during our birthdays. And we hope to see you again next week when we talk about No Mercy. We're going to be doing both the thoughts and the results of No Mercy. So stay tuned, folks. And we'll also cover the end of the Aki Basho, which should be an insane one.
Yep. I'm hoping for a 7-way playoff.
7-way dog pile. Whoever wins this gets the shiny thing.
Yep. The Emperor's Cup. And we want you guys to have a great weekend. Have a nice one, guys.
Yes, thank you so much. Enjoy your first day of fall. You can follow me on Twitter at Fizzpatrick14.
And you can follow me at Cusmano_Sal.
And we will see you next time. Have a good day and our night, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you again. Bye.
See ya.